All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Coleman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. So, in this week's episode, we'll be talking all about inflammation, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else in between. So, firstly, I'm going to touch on the fact that it's now coming up to Christmas. Happy Christmas. I'm allowed to say that. Yes, I am. The fire is lighting. If you hear the crackling in the background as I warm my hands with some parsley tea, which I'll be mentioning in this week's episode. One of my regular beverages in my diet. So, straight away, off the bat, inflammation is actually natural. It's a process in the body that must occur for healing to be initiated. So there's two main types. There's acute inflammation, which is okay. And after that, then you have the acute inflammation that can be caused from either cuts, burns, sprains in your ankle, and any of those niggles that you get, such as I look across my hand and the war wounds from planting, cutting hedges, and all those different jobs that I currently do. Putting up Christmas trees as well. You wouldn't believe it. Dangerous. Mind yourself. Stay safe this Christmas. So if any of you have ever, had any small cuts or a sprain, you know that swelling is actually a process, and realize that it actually is a process where the body is trying to naturally, protect itself. And it's the body's first, initial reaction to swell and allow those areas to be healed by the body. That's acute inflammation. And this only occurs for a short period of time. And when you realize that the other end of the spectrum is most certainly chronic inflammation. This is the evil cousin of acute inflammation, chronic inflammation. And it's something that you don't want in, your body, due to the fact that it can be hard to detect. And what I mean by that, there isn't any major swelling that occurs, whether it be on your finger or on any area of your current body. It's really something that you have to get your bloods checked. And chronic inflammation can come from, signs of it would most certainly be excessive amount of stress, whether that's excessive amount of stress in your work, a current relationship that you're in or trying to get into. The realization of that after that is chronic stress is something that delays wound healing. And that's important because the body is trying to heal itself naturally, and there are foods that we'll be touching on that most certainly will be able to help and improve your body's ability to naturally reduce inflammation. And it also is something, chronic inflammation, that can cause diabetes, depression, different types of cancer, and autoimmune diseases such as asthma and eczema. Those are two things that I currently previously had. And as a result of improving both my diet and my lifestyle, I've completely eradicated, and I do not take the likes of the inhalers that I previously used to do in the past, which is just a sure example of how powerful foods and lifestyle and food being medicine actually is. And I just want to, expand on that point. There are people that have trained that also have had autoimmune diseases reversed. Depending on their severity, they can definitely be relieved. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for an improvement on, our health. And everybody who listens to this podcast is, interested in both trying to do exactly that, both in their training, in their lifestyle. And I'm a firm believer in that the more things you do to benefit you, the better. And that starts with the moment you get up. And that goes with food choices, that goes with grounding that I regularly talk about and discuss on my social media platforms, and such as other things that are also really important for reducing inflammation would be, as I said, sunlight and grounding. And for the most part, a lot of people cover up and they wear hats and they wear sunglasses and things that actually, we'll just quickly touch on. These are the new CPUF hats that will be available on the website. These are unreal. Let's say CPUF on the front. They're wide fitting. And what do they say? One size fits all, because you can actually change. And it says on the back of it, get on the good stuff. I love these. You stay tuned for those. I have a select number of samples myself. So if you're really, really lucky, we'll be doing a competition in the near future. So Stay tuned. Instagram, Coleman Power. TikTok, Coleman Power Organic Fitness. Facebook. All right. And getting back to, I suppose, the point about light. Light is really important because it actually speeds up blood flow. You carrying the vitamins and minerals such as from the foods that you eat on a regular basis, which I'm encouraging you to consume, or either in a drink beverage, such as high antioxidants. Antioxidants reduce stress, they reduce inflammation. These are things that are really important because for the most part, people are not consuming enough fruit and veg. A lot of people are worried about what's the best. I'm going to tell you a couple of good ones. Don't, I suppose, let the best be the great of an improvement. You're looking for a better lifestyle. There's no such thing as the best. There's no, because everyone is different and everyone has different starting points. But I'm going to tell you, parsley tea, if you're not on it, contains antioxidants that can improve your blood flow. They're called lutein and zeaxanthin. For the most part, you don't have to remember that. Just remember that when you're consuming greens, I have coriander in my pocket. No, it's in the kitchen. Coriander is another really simple one. And these are ones that I recommend people to, I suppose, add to their diet. Or you can grow, because the two of those are very, very easily grown from seed. Coriander seeds are something that you can also add into dishes. But parsley, breadwinner, is slow to germinate, but once it's established, you can have it in pots. You can most certainly have it in a small little veg patch. It can only be no bigger, it doesn't have to be any bigger than a couple of feet squared. 3 feet by 3 feet, it's a meter squared. So that is something that you can do coming into the new year. And I will most certainly have a course, a day course showing in people in person how to do that in Mullingar. That's the 15th of January. And on top of that, there will be also with a nutritionist, a nutritional therapist, Cara O'Donnell, who is hooking up with myself, doing a 4-week course talking about, I suppose, foods that are in season. Yes, I recommend in season because why, they've higher nutrition. And as a result of that, foods that you can grow coming into, I suppose, starting in January, this going into spring. So getting ready for the two of those events. If you are available, send me a message again and I will book you in. My website, Coleman Power, check out all those. But best place to get me, Instagram or my email, Coleman J Power at Coleman Power Organic Fitness at gmail.com. Those are also available on any of the social media platforms. So straight away, the foods that I do recommend for you to add into your diet and for reducing inflammation, because this is what we're talking about right now, are high antioxidant foods. So what are the high antioxidant foods that I do recommend? So just to touch on, there are 4 main antioxidants, and they are, and antioxidants just simply are colors. So you've got 4 main colors. You've got the red, you've got the green, you've got the orange, and you've got the purple. So we'll touch on those on their more scientific names. You have anthocyanins is the purple. You have the green, which is the chlorophyll. You have the red, which is lycopene, and you have the orange, which is beta carotene. Examples of those would most certainly be, I'm going to go with vegetables. Why? Because they're in season right now. Beetroot is the purple antioxidant. And another one will be purple potatoes. Oh my God, my mouth waters every single time I talk about these foods that are in season because they're in the kitchen. And that's another point, really important to have the foods that are in season. Go to country markets because that's where they're at. And that's what they're going to, suppose, supply you with, because at country markets, they only have the foods that are in season for you to consume. So those are 2 purple foods I do recommend. Blueberries are another one that commonly are mentioned for anthocyanins, high in antioxidants, and it's something that is out of season right now, but doesn't mean you can't consume them. I want people to eat as many fruits and vegetables and more so vegetables than you're currently doing right now to improve your overall health. So those are the purple foods. Then we can go, purple carrots are in there too. We can go on to the orange, which just the next one I'm going to touch on, is carrots. Carrots are high in vitamin C, and vitamin C is also an antioxidant. But beta carotene is that antioxidant also found in squash. Squash is in season right now, and the variety of squash that, excuse me, that we had at the retreat up in Mayo, which another one is coming up in and on the 22nd of January, is Crown Prince. It's the sweetest squash that I've ever tasted. And squash is something that can be made into soup. It can be roasted whole like a chicken. And literally that's what I do, because I'm a healthy, lazy man. I literally put the whole likes of the squash into the oven. Yeah, not even cooked, not even cut, just cooking it whole, just like you would any of your roast meats. Taking it out after maybe half an hour. If you want to slice it, then it's much easier to do so. That's the cooking tip of the day. So straight away, you are going to have what I call a vegetable for your salad type lunches. It's something that's high in fiber. Fiber is also something that can pull out toxins from your body. And as a result of that, it is something that is really easy to both grow and cook. So that's the orange. The orange is the beta carotene. Then you have the red, lycopene. Lycopene can be found in tomatoes, slightly finishing up its season. Now we're in December, and then we're going on to other things such as pomegranate, really high in antioxidants. And those final things that are in season right now are apples. Apples are not only high in antioxidants, they are also a prebiotic. Prebiotics are good for your gut health. Gut health, improved gut health is also linked with reducing autoimmune diseases. So those are things that are not only, I suppose, have one benefit, they also have several other different knock-on effects to your overall health. Gut health is massive. You're supposed just remembering the fact that every vegetable and fruit that is consumed can improve your gut microbiome. Your microbiome is something that 90% of your serotonin is produced there. That's really important if you want to improve, I suppose, your overall health, because being healthy is not just about how many days you train. I do recommend training, but the fact is that when you're doing that on a more regular basis, food choices, than you are training, it's important to focus in on foods, because you cannot out-train a bad diet. So those are the four main antioxidants: the red, the purple, the green, and the other color that doesn't come to mind right now, in different fruits and vegetables. And why I have a preference towards people eating more veg than fruits, it's just because of sugar. Sugar increases your body's ability to produce insulin. Insulin can prevent you from losing weight. So that's important to note. And it's something that really and truly is more and more prevalent in the Western diet. We typically want and crave sweet things. So it's important to, suppose, adding and making vegetables as, palatable as you possibly can, and adding the likes of either pink Himalayan salt, which is natural electrolyte, and I would choose pink Himalayan salt over the likes of your sea salt, especially now because of the likes of the seas becoming more and more polluted with those plastics that people and masks, which is a terrible thing in itself. So those are the fruits and vegetables that I do recommend, which brings me on to the next one that I'm mentioning: fish. Fish, if you consume it in your diet, is something that contains a type of healthy fat. Healthy fats are most certainly found in high concentrations in oily fish such as salmon, where salmon is typically farmed. And for the most part, I go to country markets. I am well clued in about sourcing foods locally. People say getting wild caught salmon, that is a hell of a lot harder than you would think. So it's not something I have a huge percentage of in my diet, the likes of salmon. So I go with more so mackerel that can be caught off the coast of Ireland, and I get it at either the fishmongers or country markets. And I shall be. Feels like I've increased my vocabulary since starting these podcasts over 2 years ago. So I will be going to the country market today to get myself some fresh produce. And after that, then it's touching on other healthy fats that are also found in nuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds, which I will be doing a separate episode on chia seeds and flax seeds in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. So if you, I suppose, don't eat fish in your diet, it's well worth noting that you can get omega-3 healthy fats from plant-based sources. Chia seeds is something that I do recommend, and flax seeds. And a lot of the time people are saying which is better. If the option is A and B, I definitely recommend you to switch up your diet to have the two of them, because don't just say that, oh, I'm going to only have one. It's now Christmas. And I want you to start making and using these foods and adding them to your diet, both the fruits, the vegetables, fish if you consume that. If not, you can also get an algae that I suppose is more vegan or vegetarian friendly. And definitely chia seeds and flax seeds were something I would definitely add to your diet. And legumes are another thing that I suppose reduce inflammation. Legumes that I highly recommend are lentils. Lentils are one of those vegetables that contain beta carotene because they're orange in color, the orange ones. And I do recommend you to consume those. Why? Because they have high percentage of their composition made up of protein. Protein is essential, okay, as well as essential in your diet. Them being very easy to cook. I typically use extra virgin olive oil, which is a great oil for cooking at medium to low heat. It has that healthy fat, as I touched on, omega-3, which reduces inflammation. A lot of people are, I suppose, over-consuming on the likes of higher fats in their diet, but it's typically from trans fats, from processed foods, we'll touch on crackers, deep fat fried burgers, chips, hot dogs, and everything else in between. The crisps that are going to be pulled out and biscuits are typically have trans fats in them. So it's really important to, I suppose, sticking to single ingredient foods. And over the Christmas period, making your own healthier food choices with, I suppose, dark chocolate would be definitely something I could recommend, and cacao powder. And that's going to be, I suppose, an alternative. I never tell people what not to eat. I tell people more so what to eat. The fact is that you have you have a process of elimination. You are not only adding in more foods, and then it reduces down the fact that you can only eat so much food in a day. And that's really important to remember. Eating more healthy foods reduces down your likelihood of you eating highly processed foods. And that's going to help your health in, I suppose, touching back into reducing inflammation, because every different fruit, legume, healthy fat, fish, if you eat those, is going to, I suppose, improve and reduce down your inflammation in your body. And that's why, I suppose, a lot of things, touching on that point, is that soups come into season for a reason. Firstly, to warm me up, you up, or anybody up in this colder climate that we're in right now. But it's also a way of getting a higher percentage of vegetables into your diet. And the vegetables that are typically consumed are prebiotic classics: onions, garlics, leeks, squashes, and I do recommend you to throw in some greens in there too, to mix up those antioxidants which reduce inflammation in the diet. So now we're coming on to, I suppose, after foods, what are the things that can really help with reducing inflammation? And that boils down to your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is something that you need to realize that is key. Okay, training is something that can reduce inflammation. Why? Because it improves your blood flow. When you have these foods such as that are high in omega-3, it is carrying those to the areas that are inflamed. And one tip I'm going to pass on to you right now that I haven't ever mentioned before on this podcast is, what's, I suppose, the best type of training for, I suppose, you? It's different for everyone, but whoever you are right now listening to this podcast, whether you're male or female, the exercises that I highly recommend are the opposite to your way your current job is. So if you live at a lifestyle that is predominantly based sitting down, I recommend you to have slightly more high intensity with added weights exercises in your lifestyle to improve your blood flow. And if you have a job where you're currently moving a lot, whether you work outside or you're always on the go, running up and down stairs, in and out of vans, getting well over 10,000 steps and some maybe 15,000 with no problem, I recommend more slightly increased weights and slightly low intensity finishers. And that's really important to remember, because a lot of people sometimes get personal trainers and coaches and often overload their body with excessive amount of weights. It can cause injuries such as popped ribs or hamstring or lower back pain, which is a sure sign that you get what you pay for. The fact is that you are looking for improved health. You need to realize that you're significantly different to each and everybody, both your family members, both your friends, and we're both your work colleagues, you need to design a program with someone who's qualified that can, I suppose, tailor your nutrition, tailor your exercises that can improve your specific and move you closer to, I suppose, from where you are now to where you want to be. And that's really important, because sometimes a lot of people are going to be selling you both gym programs and nutritional bog standard, black and white, one size fits all, which is not the case. It has to be tailored, it has to be tweaked, because if you buy something that is, I suppose, a one size fits all, and you don't fall into that category, what ends up happening then is you're wasting your money. And a lot of people say being healthy is expensive. It is if you put your money in the wrong places. And that's just the point that I want to expand on here. Listening to people that you, I suppose, would trade places with, and only buying from people you like, know, and trust is really important, because we live in a world that people are looking just for a quick grab of your money. And that's, I suppose, worth realizing coming up into the Christmas period and going into January 2022, which is actually amazing when you think about it. January 2022. Time flies when you're having fun, is what they say. So touching on then the final of the things that I suppose want to realize with your lifestyle: sleep. If you don't have healthy habits in your lifestyle that aid in a good night's sleep, you're fighting an uphill battle, because sleep is one of the pillars of health. It really is. Between things that I regularly do, go to bed at a regular time. I get up, and also watching the sunrise and the sunset is something that I recommend. I'm wearing blue light blocking glasses that I regularly mention on this podcast. And those are things that I suppose definitely in alignment with overall health and can, I suppose, really help you reduce cravings. Because you get a poor night's sleep, the whole idea of it is most certainly your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. Just how I remember that is ghrelin and leptin are the two hunger hormones. Ghrelin is increased. When you increase your ghrelin hormone, you most certainly have to, I suppose, fight those cravings. And we typically are going to lean towards those processed foods, which are going to be in abundance coming up to Christmas right now. So if you are looking to improve your overall health, it's well worth trying to nail down, even coming up to, I suppose, the 1st of January right now, what we call it city season, is some sort of healthy routine in your sleep pattern. Alcohol is something that's going to affect that. I'm not against alcohol. It's just not, I just don't shout about it and promote it. It's something that I do have on my, I suppose, my lifestyle, because it is most certainly about balance. And when I do have it, it's about, I suppose, having it in amounts that don't negatively major effect and throw off my whole week. I don't go off on weekend benders. I don't, I suppose, try and cod myself and say the fact that it helps me sleep. In fact, it doesn't help you sleep. It actually litters your sleep, because we wake up in, as we, after consuming the likes of alcohol. And it would recommend you to, I suppose, reduce it over the Christmas periods. Remember, you don't have to have alcohol to have a good time. And it's important to say sometimes this fact that sometimes if someone offers you a drink and you have decided not to, and you say no, when you say no to somebody else, you actually say yes to yourself. And that's really important, because a lot of people find it difficult, I suppose, to say no to things. But you really have to remember that if you're looking for an improvement, alcohol and these poor food choices and lifestyle habits are something that you must change. Because if you constantly do the same things that you're currently doing right now and are expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. You need to do and make better food choices, better lifestyle choices for you, about your foods, getting them local, getting them fresh, to both your liquids, parsley tea, classic. Clove tea would be another option that I do recommend. And that is something that with the Christmas spirit would be, and is something that I will be doing. A lot of people are drinking hot whiskies, and I may have a hot whiskey on a different occasion, but it's just not every night going through that Christmas period. I will have those drinks, and you don't have to either. And that's one of the things I must stress to you. Like, I had to change up the people that I hang around with, because a lot of them were heavy drinkers. I had to change up my lifestyle. And it now suits me. And that's what you have to, I suppose, fit into your healthy regime. Finding foods, finding a lifestyle, finding drinks, finding beverages that fit your, I suppose, current situation and that you want to do long term. Because that's what it's about. Fitness is not just for 6 weeks. Fitness is not just for 90 days. It's not for anything, I suppose, close to that. It's for life. And that's really, really important, because these beverages, alcohol and processed foods, they cause inflammation. And it's key for, I suppose, you realizing that if you want to be a healthier individual, you need to make those healthy food choices and those lifestyle approaches to your overall health. So that is this week's podcast. I suppose we'll wrap her up by saying that CPUF merch is coming. Got the ring light on here for those of you watching on YouTube. And other than that, yes, things coming up in the near future. We have the Growing Your Own Day event in Mullingar. It is on the 15th of January. You have the Nutrition and Grow Your Own course for 4 weeks with lives and most certainly videos showing you exactly how to sow a seed, transplant, and look after it, because not all plants need the exact same amount of water. That's an important point. It's kind of like foods, right? Because we are animals, but humans and plants are quite similarly, I need more partiality, similarly related. And that is coming up in also January. So if you're interested in any of those topics, retreats also are coming up in January. The 22nd of January is the date. That is pretty much nearly booked up already, but you get in it and on it, and we will sign you up to the latest retreats. They went so well. Last one was a Mayo. Next one's also a Mayo. We have grounding. We have yoga with Kaz. We have the foods cooked from Cara O'Donnell, classic. We have personal development coach Joe Maloney, all wrapped in a package with organic foods that I'm literally bringing myself from the ground straight on it up to Mayo. So if you want in, get on it. So we're wrapping up this week's episode by saying, stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic. Happy Christmas. Somebody ring the bell.